Okay, we have just finished the downstream boundary control at the end of this model, and the next step we'll do is to add the Cocoa Hatchie channel into this project. So I think you might find that you need to clean up the grid. No, we already cleaned up the grid from the boundary condition. Okay, good. So we're good. I'm going to just go ahead and minimize this, click on the project data, and then I have to get the data from the folder. So we have project data channel, and we only have one. So I'm going to just grab, and maybe you can grab that too, and then just drag that into this layers. Now, when that comes in, you can see that it's not very clear. They always pick the lightest colors to bring these in at. So if you really can't see one, you can double click it and change the color to brighter color. But I'm going to ignore that for now. Now, okay, let me get to this. This is the channel. First step is to prepare the map. And I want to add our first aerial overlay. We're not going to really use it right away, but I'm going to add it anyway. And load the data, which we're here. So let me grab that. Let me grab that data. So this is Quick Map Services, and I'm going to add the Google map. I want to do the hybrid. So we can see if we turn our elevation off, we can see our aerial. And let's get back here. Now what we're going to start doing is digitizing the left and right bank and digitizing the cross sections. Now, I want everybody to be on the same page, so I'm going to do this a little bit differently than normally I would have you build the left bank by adding the polyline, to the left bank layer. But because I want everyone to be on the same page and I don't want to get a bunch of errors with the channel, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. So instead, I'm going to grab this layer right here and then use this select tool to select the layer. You can see it's selected because it turned bright yellow. And then Control C will copy that line. And then if you come up to the user layer and you go to your left bank line, click on it, left bank lines, click the edit tool, and then Control V is going to paste the feature from the data that I'm giving you into the left bank of the project. Now we have to, then you just turn that back off and save it. We're going to do the same thing with the right bank. So down here, you see I have a right bank that I digitized for you so that we're all on the same page. Select it with your select tool. You just click and drag, it'll select it. Copy it with Control C. Come back up to the right bank layer, start editing it, and paste it into the right bank layer. And then again, just turn the editor back off and save the edits. Now you can see they're both selected. I'm just leave them selected because they look kind of nice. And that's done. Now the next step is to do the same thing except with the cross sections, and we're going to do them a little bit differently. So we start here with this very first cross section, and as you can see, it's not very visible. So if we come down here to our layers and we double click that, we can just basically give that a 1 and apply that, and give it a brighter color, make it red so that you can really clearly see that. So this is going to be the guide, and there's 32 of these. Starting from upstream to downstream, we're going to start to digitize these, but we really need the snapping tool. So if you can see the snapping toolbar right here, I want you to follow along with this process. First of all, if you can't see the snapping toolbar, right-click anywhere in this area and go down to your toolbars and add the snapping toolbar. And then click on the magnet, that's the snapping switch, where's the eyeball? Oh, I need to set this to advanced. Set this to advanced configuration and then change the active snapping layer we only want to snap to one layer. So you can close the user layers. Well, I guess you have to kind of close all these. It's kind of annoying, but you want to get down to that. You know what? Just do this. Close the whole project group and then click on this one right here, cross sections. Yeah, so collapse the whole Flow2D Coastal project group and then click on this one right here. That's the only one we want to snap to at this point. And then you're done. You can just click off of that. Okay, now if you come over here, you'll want to collapse all. So make sure you always click the collapse all and then open the cross section editor. And this guy right here is the tool we use to draw to digitize our cross sections. So click it. Don't worry about that message. It's just telling you that this data can be overwritten. And then see here, when I come down here, see how that turns pink? It's only going to snap to that one layer. So you can leave the grid on, you can leave all those other layers on, that's no problem. So you just click it, left click, this is the left bank looking downstream. Click the right hand side of the channel, that's the right bank looking downstream, and then right click. And then just hit enter or hit OK or click OK. We're not going to do any of the data editing until later. Now, to get to the next one, you can roller wheel zooms in and out, click and drag the roller wheel to move the map, or use the arrow keys. The arrow keys are great for this procedure. And then just go to the next one and stay in order from upstream to downstream. So it's click the left bank, click the right bank, right click to close, enter or OK, click, click, right click, enter. And it's that simple. So I'm just going to go down and I'm going to do all of these, all 32 of them. There's not that many to start with up front. Okay, click, click, right click, and get the next weir. This is the Cocoa 1 weir. And then we start turning and getting into the natural channel. Well, we're going to use natural geometry for the canal and the channel for this particular procedure, just so that you can see how it works. But I'm keeping it pretty uniform. I'm not going to bother with that because it's not really doing a whole lot. Click, click, right click, and I'm probably on about 11 or 12 right now. I'm going to speed this up, and then I'm going to just do this and then get back up in here. I'm going to turn off those points because they kind of mess you up. Click, click, right click. And right in here, I added a few more points because it takes a bit more geometry to kind of go around corners. It takes a few more cross sections, even though it's still pretty uniform. This channel is very uniform. Okay, click, right click, 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 right click. That one might be a little funky. And see, they don't have to be super close to the left and right bank. They can be pretty, but because Flow2D is only going to consider from here to here when it runs. So these cross sections, it doesn't really matter how long they are, because when you measure it with Flow2D, it's only going to get where they cross the left and right bank. That becomes your actual cross section. Well, we're almost done. So it's okay if they're quite a bit longer than the channel, except in the very first channel. The very first one has some restrictions, and I'll go back up there so we can see that. And then this is the last channel. I made my last channel just downstream of the bridge, and I'm going to and notice I just went ahead and built my channel through all the bridges because this channel is pretty uniform and flat, and so I don't bother with culverts and bridges that are wide open. I am going to put the weirs in, but I'm not going to bother with those big culverts and bridges that are wide open because it's such a flat channel. Just let it flow through those structures just basically how it would flow through a normal channel. And then if I want to reduce the flow through those structures a later time, I would just give them slightly higher end value. Now, if I had a steeper, more realistic, or not realistic, but if I had a steeper model that had, flow going through it, I would put those bridges in because they would, the piers, and you might have scour and stuff like that. So I would go ahead and put those bridges in. But because this is, there's so many of them, and they're not really invasive bridges. They're pretty wide open. I'm just going to ignore them for this one. Now, get up here and zoom in right here, and I want to show you one more thing on this very first channel. Both the left bank and the right bank and the cross section, the end points have to be in the same cell, and the cross section always has to cross both lines. So that's important for the very first cross section. Now that's finished. So over here, I'm going to click Save, and that will load all the cross sections. See, there's 32 of them. Now, if you use this center button, you can check out the positions of every cross section. As you can see down here, they just have the placeholder data. It's just a little bit of placeholder data so that you can see that they're all in there. We're going to add the station elevation data directly to them. And then don't worry about that error message whenever there's nothing to plot, you get this error message. You can just ignore it. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to here, because what we did was we digitized our left bank, we digitized our right bank, we digitized all of our cross sections. Now I'm going to do the cross section attributes. So you notice when I put my cross sections in, I didn't mess with the attributes. I just hit the enter button, because I can come right here and I can open the attribute table for this data, and I can put my attributes in here. And as you can see, there's only one attribute that's really important, and that is the end value. So if I hit the edit, I can change my field to end value, and then I can 0.032. Let's say 0.032 is a kind of a natural. It's not maybe a little bit higher if you want, but we don't really have any problems with this channel. So 0.032, update all, and that will set your end value for the channel. It's fairly uniform, it does have some, depositions and sandbars and stuff down at the bottom, but we're going to ignore those because we don't have a whole lot of data about that. And sandbars shift over time. So as the water flushes out, with a big event like what we're going to model today, those sandbars are going to probably shift and move anyway. So we're just going to ignore them. What we're looking for in this channel is to get the capacity. So I'm going to close this video, and I'm going to start doing the next video so that I can split this up a little bit into sections, so that if we run out of time on day one or something like that, we can just pick back up with the new video by sampling the cross-section elevation data. Oops, that's wrong anyway. I've got to change out that picture anyway. So I'm going to stop the recording, and I'll fix this image, and then I will show you how to add in the station elevation data for the natural cross sections.